A millionaire took in a voiceless boy abandoned by his family days later, a shocking call, Dad. In a bustling city, neon lights flickered and cast an eerie glow on the asphalt. A figure stood in the shadows, tall, imposing, and draped in an expensive coat. Caleb Morgan was a millionaire, known for his ruthless business tactics and the whispers that followed him like a chilling breeze. But tonight, something felt different. He was about to tiptoe into the realm of the impossible, the unknown. He had just taken in a boy, a voiceless boy. Abandoned by family, left to wander the world alone. The boy had the brightest blue eyes Caleb had ever seen, yet they reflected a deep, unsettling sorrow. Young Nathan, with his patched jeans and ragged shirt, seemed to bring an undeniable weight with him, as if 1,000 silent screams were trapped behind those delicate lips. In every corner of the mansion, filled with lavish decorations and polished marble, Nathan's presence felt like an untouched sorrow, echoing against the expanse of luxury. Caleb watched as Nathan discovered his new home. The boy moved cautiously, his small hands brushing against the walls, feeling the textures like a blind man reading Braille. He paused at the windows, staring out at the world, eyes glistening with unspoken questions. Caleb felt a lump in his own throat. What horrors had this boy endured? Days passed, and the silence between them grew richer, a thick fog that enveloped the mansion. Caleb began to sense that Nathan was not just a lost child, he was something more, a puzzle wrapped in layers of mystery. There were nights when the air grew heavy, tinged with the smell of damp earth and the sounds of distant thunder. It served as a stark reminder of the storm brewing outside, but it was nothing compared to the tempest within the boy's soul. Then came the call. It was unexpected, a shrill ring slicing through the solemn evening. Caleb answered, heart racing. The voice on the other end was shaky, almost imperceptible. Dad? Just like that, the word hung in the air, heavy and sharp. Caleb stumbled back, eyes widening, a surge of shock washing over him. Who was this calling him Dad? How could this voiceless boy spark such an explosive word? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Caleb's mind raced. Who was this boy really? What secrets did he carry? The walls seemed to close in, shadows deepening around him as reality collided with the surreal. This moment ignited a curiosity within him, something beyond his wealth, his empire, something that felt crucial, raw, and utterly life-changing. As he gripped the phone, his mind flooded with questions. Would uncovering Nathan's truth shatter everything he understood about his own life? Caleb dropped the phone, a clatter echoing through the empty room as he stumbled back against a polished marble wall. His heart raced, pounding in his chest like a frantic animal. Dad? How was it possible that this voiceless boy, who had arrived so recently, could invoke such a monumental word? He turned his gaze toward Nathan, who was curled up on the plush sofa, his little figure almost swallowed by the oversized cushions. The boy's blue eyes were wide and startled, darting back and forth as if he sensed the energy crackling in the air. Caleb's chest tightened. There was a connection forming, fractured yet undeniable, bridging the silence that had more often separated them. Get over here, Caleb stammered, the command slipping from his lips before he could think. Nathan hesitated, biting his lip, uncertainty painted across his face. The boy knew intuitively that the tension in the room thickened with unspoken truths. Finally, Nathan slid off the couch, his bare feet padding silently against the gleaming floor. He stood close enough for Caleb to see the beginnings of tears shimmering at the corners of his eyes. Caleb's throat went dry. Who called me that? He pressed, kneeling to meet Nathan's gaze. The boy needed to understand, and Caleb needed answers. Just then, thunder rumbled in the distance, rattling the windows, further intensifying the unspoken tension between them. Nathan's face twisted with emotion, his little brow furrowing. The weight of unexplainable fear surrounded him, tightening like a noose. Caleb reached out, brushing a stray tear from Nathan's cheek with a gentle finger. In that moment, something clicked within him, a protective instinct he never knew he had. "You can tell me," he urged softly. "I'm here." But the boy remained silent, lost within himself, twisting his fingers in his lap as if they were the strings of a puppet he couldn't control. The storm outside grew louder, its booming clashes matching the chaotic rhythm of Caleb's heart. Then, a small voice, barely a whisper, escaped Nathan's lips. Mom. Warmth flooded Caleb's chest, mixed with urgency. "What about your mom? Is she coming for you?" The question tumbled out without a chance to reconsider. But Nathan's terrified blue eyes held a painful truth: she wasn't coming. Suddenly, Nathan's small hands darted toward his pocket. The sudden movement startled Caleb as the boy pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. Carefully unfolding it, Nathan revealed it: a drawing, a childlike depiction of a woman, a boy, and a small house. The figures looked happy, a stark contrast to the reality of their lives. "What's this?" Caleb murmured, focusing on Nathan's trembling hands. Without waiting for an answer, he took the paper, scanning the crude lines. Do you want to find her?" Nathan nodded, the determined glimmer in his eyes replaced by fear. As Caleb's grip tightened around the drawing, a sense of urgency surged within him. The boy was more than an addition to his life, he was a tether to something deeper, a mystery that stirred at the seams of their lives, pulling them both toward a dark yet urgent question. "What if," Caleb breathed, "what if she needs us?" He stood up abruptly, the drawing still clutched tightly in his fist. Nathan looked up at him, confusion mingling with the growing flicker of hope. Caleb knew the search for Nathan's mother would not be easy. It could even provoke more danger than he realized. Before Caleb could process his next move, the phone rang again. Its harsh sound cut through the fragile silence, deepening the shadows around them. He glanced at Nathan, who mirrored his anxiety, the boy's little body tensed, eyes wide with anticipation. "Gotta get this," Caleb said, gripping the phone tightly as dread filled the air. "Stay close." But as he lifted the receiver, something in the way the caller breathed sent a shiver down his spine. "Caleb Morgan," a chilling voice said. "I know where your son is." The call hung like a storm cloud, heavy and ominous, leaving only questions swirling in its wake. What was coming? Caleb swallowed hard, every muscle in his body tensed, readying for the unraveling storm. Caleb's breath caught in his throat. The voice on the other end was a sharp blade cutting through his thoughts, each word dripping with morbid certainty. His grip tightened on the phone, knuckles white. "What did you say?" A low chuckle seeped through the line, icy and unsettling. "I said I know where your son is and I can help you find him." His heart pounded, fear boiling into a simmering rage. "Nathan is right here with me. He is safe." But was he? Caleb's eyes darted toward the boy, huddled close, eyes wide with terror, and doubt seeped into his resolve. "Is he?" The voice's tone shifted, sharper now. "You think your little game of pretending is enough to keep him safe? He deserves more than you can give." Caleb felt a punch in his gut. Something dark flickered at the corners of his mind. He didn't know this voice, yet it cracked open a floodgate of feelings he thought he had buried. "Who are you?" he demanded. "What do you want?" There was a silence heavy enough to crush him. "Let's just say, I'm someone who cares. You don't want to leave this to chance. Time is running out for Nathan." The words hung thick in the air, and Caleb felt sweat bead at his temples. "What do you know about us?" he ground out, trying to maintain control, though the cracks were forming. "More than you think," came the reply, smooth and slippery. "Meet me at the old mill, tomorrow at noon. I will tell you everything you need to know." Caleb's stomach twisted. It sounded like a trap, a game he wasn't ready to play. Still, the breathless need to protect Nathan pushed him further into the unknown. "No," he snapped. "What if I refuse? Then I assure you, Caleb, you'll regret it. Your son may not be safe for long." Another laugh, this one deeper and more sinister. Before Caleb could muster a response, the line went dead, the silence collapsing around him. He dropped the phone to the floor, the sudden click ringing in his ears like a gunshot. "Caleb?" Nathan's soft voice broke through the fog of fear. The boy took a hesitant step forward, his small frame trembling against the weight of unspoken worry. "Who was that?" Caleb met Nathan's gaze, his own fears reflected back at him. "Just someone who knows things." "What kind of things?" Nathan pressed, his innocence mixed with worry wrapping around Caleb like barbed wire. "Things we may not want to hear," Caleb replied, forcing a calmness he didn't feel. He needed to keep Nathan safe. He needed to keep them both safe. In that moment, the storm outside intensified, thunder crashing in dangerous tandem with his spiraling thoughts. Shadows danced across the walls, flickering like the doubts lurking in his mind. "Stay right here," he ordered, rushing to the window. He pressed his forehead against the glass, peering out into the darkness as if the answers would materialize before him. The rain fell heavy, swallowing the world into a blur of gray. "Caleb," Nathan's voice trembled, fear seeping through the air. "Are we in danger?" Caleb turned to face him, heart heavy. "I don't know," he admitted, the gravity of their situation weighing down on him. "But I promise to find a way to protect you. Can we go find my mom?" Nathan's eyes were filled with a fragile hope that cut deep. Caleb's chest tightened as he fought the wave of despair threatening to pull him under. "Yeah," he whispered, though doubt gnawed at his insides. The night drew closer, shadows thickening, mirroring Caleb's resolve as he stared at the drawing crumpled in his hand. He was bound to face whatever darkness awaited him, and just as he turned from the window, a flash of lightning illuminated the space, revealing a figure standing on the edge of the property, a stranger, watching from the blackness, their face obscured but their intent clear. "Stay sharp," he whispered to Nathan as dread flooded his senses. Questions buzzed in Caleb's mind, urgency driving him forward. Who were they? What did they want? Suddenly, a haunting voice echoed in his memory, reminding him of the cold promise, "Time is running out." As the sound of footsteps approached the door, Caleb felt every muscle in his body tense. Someone was coming for them, and he had no idea how to confront what loomed just beyond the threshold. Caleb's heart raced as the footsteps grew closer, each thud against the floorboards amplifying his anxiety. He shot a quick glance at Nathan, whose small frame stood frozen, eyes wide with fear and confusion. There was no way to protect him from this knot without knowing what they were facing. "Hide," Caleb urged, his voice a harsh whisper now. "Under the table." Nathan hesitated, caught between obeying his father and the fear of separation. "Just do it." The urgency in Caleb's voice pushed Nathan into action, and he crawled beneath the antique oak table, pulling his knees tight to his chest. Caleb took in a deep breath, his palms slick against the wall as he inched back toward the door. The figure outside shifted, he could faintly see a silhouette through the frosted glass. It was tall, but the details remained shrouded in shadows. He steeled his nerves, cursing under his breath at the feeling of vulnerability creeping over him. The pounding on the door sent shockwaves across the room. "Open up, Caleb." A voice called out, rough and demanding. It was a voice he knew, one that held memories of a past Caleb had tried to escape. Gritting his teeth, he glanced at the kitchen knife resting on the counter. It felt absurd, yet necessary. "What do you want?" He shouted back, attempting to mask the tremor in his voice. "I want to talk," the voice replied, dripping with menace. "About Nathan. And about everything else." Caleb's stomach lurched. The mention of Nathan only intensified the need to protect him, and every instinct screamed for him to act. With a swift motion, he grabbed the knife and edged closer to the door, heart pounding like a war drum. "Do you have any idea what you're messing with?" Caleb roared, feeling the adrenaline surge. You're not wanted here. Wanted or not, you know that one T stop me, the voice taunted. You've been playing in the darkness too long, Caleb. It's time to face your fears. Time to bring Nathan out of the shadows. Something gripped Caleb's throat as if the air itself thickened, choking him. What do you know about him? It was a desperate hope that he missed something, that perhaps there was still a way to shield Nathan, to keep him away from this new threat. That a laugh echoed through the door, chilling and hollow. More than you ever will. And it's time you understood what you've dragged him into. Open the door, or I promise you, consequences will follow. Caleb's grip tightened around the knife as uncertainty churned within him. It was the fraying line between confrontation and retreat. He glanced back at the table where Nathan was hiding, terror flickering in the boy's wide eyes. If you hurt him, I swear, Caleb growled, the weight of his father's rage bubbling to the surface. Maybe I can help you with this, Caleb. The voice shifted, a sugary tone masking something far more sinister. You'll want to be there, at the mill tomorrow with Nathan. He needs a guiding hand, wouldn't you agree? Shut up. Caleb shouted, fury bubbling over. The mention of guiding hand twisted something inside him. He was just stringing Nathan along into this horrific mess. The storm outside mirrored the chaos brewing within him, flashes of lightning illuminating his doubts as if prompting him to act before it was too late. Just then, the door rattled with force, a sharp crack echoing through the small space. The outline of the intruder flickered in his line of vision, a solid mass ready to breach the barrier. Caleb felt his heart seize. This is your last chance, Caleb, warned the voice. Will you let me in, or will you unleash hell? Caleb's eyes met Nathan's beneath the table. The innocence in his son's gaze burned him. Would he really sacrifice that for a chance at the truth? Before he could think, the door splintered under the pressure, and a heavy set of boots entered, filling the room with an oppressive energy. A figure emerged, dark and imposing, their face shadowed by a deep hood. Remember what I said, the voice echoed, now even more ominous, as the unsettling figure stepped forward. Time is running out. Caleb's world narrowed, a raw fear coursing through him. He had to decide now. To fight, to flee, or to face the terrifying unknown. In that suspended moment, as shadows enveloped them, the truth loomed heavier than ever. Where was he supposed to draw the line between protecting Nathan and confronting the demons of his past? With one decisive breath, Caleb stood tall. Get ready, Nathan, we're going to need each other. The storm outside roared again, and as the figure lunged forward, Caleb knew this was just the beginning of their darkest chapter yet. The air crackled with tension as the hooded figure stepped further into the light, revealing a face that sent a jolt of recognition through Caleb. It was someone he thought he'd left behind in the darkest corners of his memory, someone he'd sworn never to see again. Jasper, Caleb forced out, the name dripping with equal parts dread and defiance. Good to see you, brother, Jasper said, his grin unsettling under the shadows. Or should I call you father now? Caleb's heart sank as he cast another glance at Nathan, who remained hidden beneath the table, gripping a toy car as if it were a lifeline. Caleb's instincts screamed for him to protect Nathan, but he couldn't let Jasper see the boy. Not yet. What do you want? Caleb growled, tightening his grip on the knife. Jasper took a slow step forward, confidence radiating from him like a dark aura. It's simple, really. You and I are bound by blood, by obligation. And now, that little boy under your table is part of that equation. Stay away from him. Caleb shouted, the rage boiling in his veins as memories of their troubled childhood flooded back, a past of manipulation and betrayal, surfacing like a sinister ghost. I can help you, Caleb. Jasper's voice became almost silky, infuriatingly calm. But you need to understand something. Nathan is special, in ways you don't even begin to comprehend. They need him at the mill. The mill? Caleb's voice trembled, fighting against an urge to accept the reality Jasper was painting. Think about it, big brother. All this time, running away, hiding you can't keep Nathan in the dark forever, Jasper taunted, stepping closer still. It's time to embrace his legacy. Caleb's mind raced. He knew nothing about Nathan's legacy. All he had ever wanted was to give Nathan a safe home, away from the shadows that had loomed over him. But now, those shadows were creeping back, blending in with the storm that raged outside. Legacy? This is insanity. Caleb fumed. You're just using him to get to me. You don't care about either of us. Of course, I do, Jasper said with mock sincerity, spreading his arms wide as if to embrace Caleb's pain. I'm your family. And I can save you both if you just let me in. The thunder boomed outside, each crack reverberating through Caleb's core. He shook his head, grappling with the whirlwind of emotions, the familiar pull of his past seeking to ensnare him once more. Nathan needed saving. He couldn't drag him into this family mess, but as fear wormed its way into his heart, Jasper smiled wickedly. Remember what I said about consequences? You're running out of time to make a decision. Caleb took a step back, his instincts screaming at him to protect Nathan. You're not part of our family anymore, not after everything you've done. Oh, but I am, Jasper countered with a chilling laugh. And Nathan, he's about to discover just how powerful his bloodline is. Caleb's stomach turned as Jasper's words settled in. Bloodline. The boys had no idea the weight those words carried. Nathan. Caleb called out, the panic rising. Get ready. We need to move. He won't listen to you if he is still hidden under that table, Jasper smirked, gesturing casually, as if they weren't standing at the precipice of disaster. Come out, Nathan. It's time to embrace who you really are. Caleb's heart raced at the thought of Nathan being lured out into danger. No. Stay where you are. His blood turned cold with the dread of what Jasper might reveal, what secret might be lurking just beneath the surface of Nathan's innocent smile. Just then, a sharp, piercing scream broke through the tension, echoing from somewhere outside. The sound sent a wave of dread washing over Caleb. It wasn't natural, it was a scream of distress, a plea for help, echoing on the stormy night. With uncertainty gnawing at his insides, the realization hit him like a punch. Whatever game Jasper was playing was far bigger than either of them had anticipated. They were caught in a web, and if Caleb didn't act quickly, Nathan wouldn't just be pulled into danger, he could lose everything. Caleb. Jasper's voice drew close, dark and insistent. It's time for you to decide what you really want. And make it quick. Caleb stood, shaking, the weight of the knife heavy in his hand, but equally heavy was a burden unknown. The storm outside clamored, matching the tempest in his heart. Now. The world around him blurred, and the distant screams melded with his own fears. In that moment, he realized that Nathan's fate hung in the balance, and the choices he was about to make would ripple out and change everything. Would he keep Nathan safe, or would he lead them both into shadows no light could reach? The storm raged on, threatening to sweep them all away, leaving no trace behind. Caleb's breath caught in his throat as the urgency of the moment settled over him like a thick blanket. His grip on the knife tightened, not because of the threat posed by Jasper, but from the weight of the decision he had to make. Outside, the scream echoed again, hauntingly close. Caleb, Jasper prodded, his voice low, almost silken against the chaos. The choice is simple. You can keep running, or embrace what is right in front of you. Shut up. Caleb spat, his voice strong yet trembling. He glanced at Nathan, tucked away in the shadows of their makeshift sanctuary beneath the table. The child was oblivious, in his own world of simple toys, yet every fiber of Caleb's being urged him to shield the boy from the horrors that had found them. Sweet Nathan, Jasper's tone shifted to a mocking whisper. He deserves to know the truth, doesn't he? Or are you afraid of what that truth might entail? The storm outside roared, shaking the windows with ferocity. Caleb's heart raced at the idea of Nathan hearing Jasper's lies. You don't get to decide what's best for him. You destroyed our lives once, I won't let you do it again. Jasper let out a laugh that grated against Caleb's nerves, echoing through the room like the storm itself. But your secrets are what makes you weak, brother. Keeping Nathan in the dark only makes him prey for others. They're coming, for him and for you. Caleb's head spun as Jasper's words wormed their way into his mind. The storm seemed to mirror his thoughts, chaotic and relentless. What do you mean, they're coming? Who is coming? Finally, a question that matters, Jasper smirked. But you don't need to worry for long. They'll know he's here, and once they do, you'll be forced to rejoin our family, or lose him forever. I want to let him go. I'd cut off my own arm before I enough. A sudden crash reverberated through the house, rattling Caleb to his core. The sound of splintering wood came not from the storm, but from beyond the front door. Did you hear that? Caleb's breath quickened. The urgency seeped into his voice, a raw edge of terror. Could the threat Jasper warned him about already be at their door? This is not the time for doubt, Caleb. You need to choose, and you need to choose fast. Jasper stepped even closer, his grin fading as the shadows of urgency passed over him like a shroud. What would you have me tell Nathan when they come? Caleb's mind raced, desperation clawing at his insides. He wanted to know what Jasper knew, to understand the danger that lurked outside, but he couldn't let his guard down. Tell him nothing, Caleb replied, steeling himself. Just stay away from him. And as if summoned by the resonance of Caleb's words, a chill swept through the room. A figure loomed beyond the threshold, obscured by rain and shadows, the outline of something, or someone, just out of sight. A moment stretched out, tense and taut, and Caleb could feel the reality stand still as he held his breath. Nathan! Caleb hissed, panic creeping into his voice as he crouched down. Stay put. No matter what happens, don't move. Jasper stepped back, uncertainty flickering across his features. They've come for you both. This is no longer just a game. The front door rattled violently, a forceful knock sending echoes through the dim room. Caleb's heartbeat matched the rhythm, an urgent thump that threatened to drown him in panic. Who is it? He demanded, reluctantly glancing toward Jasper as if seeking answers that the man had never offered. Open the door, Caleb. Or I can do it for you. Jasper's voice turned sinister, each word laced with a threat that hung in the air. Get out of here. Caleb growled, but it was too late. The door burst open, and the howling wind rushed in, taking with it the last shred of safety they had grasped. Dark shadows spilled through the entrance, and Caleb's world tipped into chaos just as the figure stepped into the light. That a woman, drenched and desperate, her face twisted in fear, stumbled into the room. Help. Please help me. Caleb felt the ground shift beneath him, the magnitude of their reality crashing down as he began to understand that the storm outside had come for more than just them. It had ushered in a whole new nightmare. What have you done? Jasper whispered, stepping back into the darkness as the chaos erupted, the storm now an all-consuming force, and as Caleb turned towards the newcomer, he sensed his life was about to spiral even further into unknown peril. Who was she, and what did she know about Nathan's legacy? Time slipped through Caleb's fingers like water, vanishing with the urgency of the storm that continued to rage on. The woman's eyes darted around the room, wild and unfocused. Please, you have to help us. Caleb's heart raced. Us? Who else is with you? He took a step forward, the knife still gripped tightly in his hand. The trust was a fragile thread he couldn't afford to break. The others are. She hesitated, her breath coming in quick gasps. The storm outside roared in harmony with the chaos in Caleb's mind. Others? What others? Jasper sidestepped Caleb, his tone sharp, carrying a hint of excitement. He leaned in closer to the woman, a predator sensing prey. What is happening? Monsters. She swallowed hard, her voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. They're coming for him. She pointed at Nathan, still huddled beneath the table, unaffected by the imminent danger. Caleb felt a jolt of fear. What do you mean, coming for him? Who are you? The words came out hot, his voice lowering to a whisper as dread trimmed his edges. They want your boy. They think he carries the legacy. She took a step back, her rain-soaked clothes plastered to her skin. They already know where you are. Jasper recoiled slightly, the confidence waning from his smirk. What do they want with Nathan? Before she could answer, an ominous sound penetrated the brutal tempest outside, a low growl that rattled the room. Caleb's breath hitched. Was this the end he feared? Were the shadows finally flooding in? Caleb. We need to go. Now. Jasper urged, urgency wrapping around his words like barbed wire. No. I'm not leaving until I know Nathan is safe. Caleb's mind raced. Heat surged through him, a primal instinct kicking in. You wanted the truth, Jasper. This is it. Suddenly, the shadows behind the woman shifted, slinking against the walls. Taller, darker figures emerged from the storm, gliding with a confidence that sent Caleb's heart plummeting. Move! Caleb barked, his instinct overriding fear. He lunged for Nathan, pulling the boy into his arms just as the dark figures closed the distance. They flooded through the door, their eyes glinting like broken glass in the storm's dim light. Stay behind me! Caleb shouted, kicking into protective mode. But the figures stopped short, their faces obscured by shadows. We're not your enemies, one crooned, its voice smooth but chilling. We're here for Nathan. It's time for the truth to come out. Caleb tightened his grip around Nathan, holding him close, feeling the boy's small body trembling against his. What truth? Your brother knows. The legacy was never just lost. It was hidden. Stop! Jasper yelled, finally regaining his composure, but fear splattered across his features. That's enough. The figure stepped forward, and suddenly the storm outside quieted, as if the violence of nature bowed to the strange power in the room. It's time to stop hiding, Caleb. Caleb felt the weight of the words hit him like a wave crashing against the shore. He glanced at Nathan, and the little boy's confusion cut deep. What are you saying? We know all about the boy, the figure continued, extending a hand toward Nathan. And we will take him to his true family. No. Caleb's voice broke, raw and desperate. But deep inside, a cold flicker of curiosity ignited. There was more to Nathan than he had realized, and now, standing on the edge of this revelation, he felt everything he fought to protect slip further from his grasp. The adrenaline coursed through his veins. He had to make a choice, and the shadows were growing ever closer. Who are you? Caleb's words came out strong, forcing himself to face the terror. What family? The figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a face etched with both familiarity and danger. Your true family, Caleb. The one you chose to leave behind. There waiting, Caleb's heart slammed against his ribcage. The truth was a blade coiling back to strike. What had he done? As the wind howled again, Caleb's world hung in balance, each decision rippling with untold consequence. And just like that, he realized what lay ahead could be an all-consuming disaster or a path to salvation. Was he ready to unlock the secrets buried in his past and drag Nathan along that darkened path? The shadows shifted again, and Caleb steeled himself. What truths did he dare to face? The figure lingered just beyond the threshold of light, face half illuminated like a dark piece of art hung in a museum. Caleb's grip around Nathan tightened as he felt the surge of dread coiling in his stomach. What do you mean waiting? He forced the question out through gritted teeth, a growl mixed with desperation. You have no idea how deep the roots run, the figure said, a hint of pleasure dancing in their voice. The legacy isn't just about blood, it's about power. Knowledge. And it's all in Nathan. Caleb's mind spun. He had grown protective of Nathan, a boy who had become a part of him in a way he never expected. The thought of someone wanting to tear that bond apart sent flames of anger coursing through his veins. "You're not taking my son anywhere." Nathan shifted in Caleb's arms, eyes wide with confusion. "Dad?" he whispered, the vulnerability in his voice tugging at Caleb's heart. It struck him anew the kid needed him. Loved him. They were a team in this chaotic world, but in that moment, something shifted. The figures seemed to glide closer, an almost hypnotic swirl of shadows as their intent became clear. The glow from the feral eyes pierced the dim light like shards of ice. "You don't have a choice," the figure closest to them stated, its voice an eerie whisper brushing against Caleb's skin. "He belongs with us. It's time for the truth to be revealed." Caleb's thoughts raced. He could feel the darkness pressing in, a bewitching song luring him into surrender. But could he? "Tell me," Caleb demanded, raising the knife to show he was still willing to fight. "What is this legacy? What do you want with him?" The shadows hesitated, almost shifting in uncertainty, a glimmer of doubt passing among them. "It's the very essence of his being," the figure said slowly, as though Caleb's defiance intrigued them. "He holds the key to everything, power beyond your comprehension. We could change everything." "And what if I refuse?" Caleb challenged, fire burning in his chest. "No one ever truly refuses," came the haunting reply, and the atmosphere thickened as if the air itself were drowning. "You'll see. The world is bigger than just you and Nathan." A tremor ran through the room as the air became charged with something electric. The storm outside roared back to life, echoing Caleb's heartbeat. He could feel the pull, the temptation to unravel the dark ties hidden within their history. "Come with us," the figure extended their hand toward Nathan again, their gesture gentle yet sinister. "Join your true family, your legacy. It's only just begun." Caleb's instinct screamed to protect Nathan. A wave of protective fury swept through him. Instinct drove him closer to the door, blocking the way, resolutely shaking his head. "No. You want Nathan. You're going to get through me first." In that heartbeat, the shadow figures drew nearer, eyes gleaming like predatory beasts. "No." Nathan's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and urgent. "I don't want to go with them." Time froze for a split second, tension coiling like a tightrope stretched too far. Caleb looked down at Nathan, his small face etched with terror, shaking his head. The shadows recoiled slightly, sensing the boy's resolve. And then, the air shattered with a thunderous crash, a jagged line of electric light slicing the gloom. The door behind Caleb splintered, flinging open as if the house itself were rejecting the encroaching darkness. "Caleb! It's now or never." Jasper suddenly shouted from the entryway, face pale but determined, panic snapping at his urgency. They were running out of time. Caleb's heart raced furiously in his chest. With the figures closing in and more crashing sounds brewing behind him, he felt the pull of the unknown. What was happening? Who was this family waiting, and what price would he have to pay for protecting Nathan? "Let us go." Jasper's voice pierced through Caleb's turmoil, and in that heartbeat, Caleb made a decision. He could no longer linger in the shadows of his past. But as he turned to flee, he couldn't shake the chilling words that hung heavy in the air. What if this time, running only led them deeper into danger? Caleb knocked the door open, every muscle tense, visions of the unknown flashing ahead. Would the shadows still follow? Would the pull of the legacy suffocate him and Nathan evermore? The door burst open, revealing a chaotic scene outside. Thunder rumbled as rain lashed down in unrelenting sheets. Caleb hesitated only a second, heart hammering against his ribs. He could feel the looming shadows inching closer, their whispers curling like smoke in his ears. "Caleb!" Jasper's voice broke through his haze, urgency ringing each syllable. "Now!" Caleb pivoted, gripping Nathan tighter, and surged into the downpour. Each step felt like a leap into the abyss, uncertainty gnawing at him. The world outside was stark and unwelcoming, dripping with adrenaline and fear. Jasper sprinted ahead, leading the way down the porch steps. "This way." Caleb glanced back. The dark figures had not yet emerged from the threshold, but he could sense their dark energy pooling like a storm on the horizon. Nathan whimpered softly, fear blooming in his wide eyes. Caleb felt a pit of dread open in his stomach. "Hold on tight, buddy," Caleb murmured, trying to instill courage in both of them. They were drenched, the cold rain seeping into his bones, but he had to push forward. They had to escape. They dashed under the awning of a nearby shed, panting heavily. The storm blurred the line of sight, wrapping them in a relentless embrace of wind and water. The air felt charged, electric with something unnameable. "What if they come after us?" Nathan's voice trembled, wrapped in worry. Caleb knelt to Nathan's eye level, muddy water splashing on his jeans. "We'll figure it out. I won't let anything happen to you." But deep inside, Caleb wrestled with his doubts. What were those shadows? What did they want? "There." Jasper pointed, eyes locked on a trail leading into the forest behind the barn. "We can lose them in there. Come on." The three of them charged into the woods, branches clawing at their skin like desperate hands. The world was swallowed by darkness and rain, every crack of thunder echoing like a warning. They were running, but were they truly escaping? Caleb's heart surged with an almost primal fear. The weight of Nathan resting against him only fueled his determination. He would protect his son. He'd face any terrifying legacy for this boy he'd come to love fiercely. As they pushed onward into the dense thicket, something shifted behind them, an ominous rustling slicing through the storm's howl. Caleb froze. "What was that?" Nathan whispered, clutching Caleb's shirt tighter. Caleb motioned for silence, every hair on his body standing on end. The shadows had not followed them into the forest, but he couldn't shake the feeling they were being hunted. There was an unsettling pause as he held his breath, straining to listen. Then, a low growl reverberated through the trees, chilling him to the bone. It was close, too close. "Get behind me," he hissed, shielding Nathan with his body, adrenaline pumping as he scanned their surroundings. The woods felt alive, as if the forest itself held its breath, waiting. And just then, the ground shook again, a growl more pronounced this time, rumbling through the stillness of the rain-soaked night. Caleb's instincts kicked in a surge of dread, yet accompanied by a fierce resolve. They had to move. There was no stopping now. "Run!" he yelled, adrenaline pushing him forward, but even as they raced deeper into the night, the shadows seemed to pulse, relentless in their intent. What terrifying revelation awaited them in these woods? What if the truth lurking in the dark was worse than the figures that had haunted them? Nathan's terrified gasp pierced the air. "Dad! Look out!" A sudden blinding light flared ahead, pregnant with possibilities and danger. Caleb's heart dropped as the urgency of the moment gripped him. What had they stumbled into now? The chill of unknown dangers tightened around him, forcing him to confront not only the shadows behind but the looming legacy ahead. Did they just run straight into something far worse? Caleb stumbled forward, the sudden brightness blinding him momentarily. He shielded Nathan from the light, his heart pounding in a frantic rhythm. As his eyes adjusted, he realized they had tripped into a clearing alive with unfamiliar sights. A circle of flickering torches illuminated figures standing around a fire, their faces masked with shadows but their intent clear, watching them. "What is this place?" Caleb breathed, pulling Nathan closer. Every instinct screamed for him to flee, but the icy grip of power emanating from the circle rooted him in place. The figures shifted, their gnarled hands raised in greeting or perhaps in warning. "Welcome, Caleb," a voice boomed, smooth and resonant, echoing through the cold air. A tall figure stepped forward, devoid of any shadow, surrounded by an aura that felt as ancient as time itself. "You've finally come home." Caleb's mind raced. Home. This was the last place he could ever consider home. "I'm not here for this," he spat, defiance igniting his desperation. "You don't know me," and you definitely don't know my son. Oh, but we do, the figure replied, eyes glimmering like stars in the night. Nathan embodies the legacy you fled from. The legacy of power. Strength. And it's time he realizes what he carries deep inside. Stop! Nathan cried, burying his face against Caleb's shoulder, shaken by the revelations illuminating the air around them. Caleb's chest constricted as panic seized him. I want to let you take him. Do you really think you can protect him from the truth? You've already opened the door, you've let the shadows in, the figure continued, a cold smile playing on his lips. Caleb turned to Nathan, who looked like a fragile bird caught in a storm. You don't have to listen to them. Caleb shouted, his heart throbbing in sync with his son's fear. None of this matters. But even as he spoke, deep inside, doubt began to stir. What if they were right? What if Nathan's voiceless past held keys to a power Caleb didn't understand? Abruptly, thunder cracked overhead, lending his thoughts an ominous backdrop. This storm was more than just the weather, it felt like fate. As he tried to calm Nathan, he felt a surge of something more than fear. There's strength in you, buddy, he murmured, gently coaxing Nathan's chin up. Whatever this is, we'll face it together. I promise. Nathan blinked, tears shimmering in his blue eyes, and for a fleeting moment, Caleb saw hope spark in their depths. I don't want to go with them, Dad. He repeated, voice trembling yet insistent. No one is taking you anywhere, Caleb vowed, determination flooding his veins again. I will not abandon you. Caleb, the secrets carry weight, the figure interjected calmly. For each choice you make, the shadows will either protect or consume you both. The legacy needs guidance, Nathan needs guidance. Tension riddled Caleb's shoulders as he looked between Nathan and the figures. They needed to make a choice, and soon. You want a guiding hand? Then I'll guide him myself. He shouted. You have no power over us. The forest seemed to hold its breath, and the flickering light of the torches dimmed slightly, as if the shadows recoiled from Caleb's fiery resolve. But Caleb could feel their watchful eyes, that dark urge to reveal what lay hidden. Very well, the figure conceded, raising an eyebrow. Then prove it. Show us your power. Before he could respond, a wind rushed through the clearing, swirling, carrying the echoes of his past as familiar shadows danced ominously around him. In that moment, Caleb realized the choice. This wasn't just about protecting Nathan from the outside. It was about standing firm against the demons of his past, reclaiming the legacy that haunted him. Dad! Nathan squeaked, sensing the shift, tightening his grip. That one sound sent a shockwave through Caleb, jolting him back to the present. No more hiding. Caleb declared, fierceness rising in his chest. He took a step forward, facing the gathering figures, feeling an unyielding surge of power. The bond between him and Nathan forged a line that couldn't be crossed. A rush of warmth spread out from his heart, flooding the clearing, shining like molten gold against the darkness. I will safeguard the truth, and I will share it with my son, but on my terms. The figures flinched, shadows twisting like smoke. You think you can stand against the tide? The leader whispered, surprise flickering briefly across his features. Caleb squared his shoulders. If it means protecting him, I will. The shadows rippled, gasps scattered through the throng. Then let the truth be revealed. You will need to fight to keep it. A surge of energy burst forth, emanating from Nathan. The moment stirred something deep within the air, the storm growing quieter, as if listening. Stay close to me, Nathan, Caleb whispered. They could either remain bound by fear or break free from the chains of their tangled past. With Nathan beside him, Caleb felt alive, igniting a fire that could light even the darkest corners. Let us end this. Together. Their hands clasped tightly, their hearts united against every shadow lurking in the remnants of Caleb's past. The night pulsed around them, and together they stepped forward into whatever awaited, because family, forged in sacrifice and love, would conquer all, and just like that, the storm shifted. Ready for battle. Ready for the truth. But as Caleb faced the waiting figures, he couldn't shake the thought, this was only the beginning, the shadows may come, but they would have to face the light first. You need to subscribe now to witness the next thrilling chapter in this epic saga. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. Your participation keeps this community alive.